Refiloe, let's start with you. 17 illegal miners coming to the surface today, and yesterday you and I were talking about the disturbing reports that of these, at least for now, there are 90 miners who have also come out or are reported to have been underground. As to how they got there in the first place, that's what police are investigating. But talk to us about these 17. From which shaft did they come, and among them were the miners there?
17 that came out today, Xoli. 14 of them came out from the Margaret shaft. You'll know and understand that Margaret shaft, it is operational, just not, mining, but it is now pumping water. 3 of them came from here, where we are, shaft 10, where the 14 that came on Sunday, you remember that there was a 14 that came on Sunday on the very same shaft here, 3 that we saw coming out today. We saw the police attending to them, interrogating them, finding out, their age. Of the 3 that came out from shaft 10, the other one was 19, 2 of them, they were 16. They were, telling us how they got to Stilfontein. Yes, it was once again on the promise of jobs, being told that there are job opportunities in Stilfontein. One indicating that he is from Davidton, the other indicating that his uncle has told him about that job opportunity. And when he asked questions about what kind of a job is it, the uncle said to him that he will just have to travel to Stilfontein. He comes here, and he was told that they are only going to leave late at night. When he tried to understand what kind of a job is it a secret, is it a security job, the uncle then said to him he will find out when they get there. And when they then traveled to where the job is, he says that he finds out that it is a hole, and they were instructed to get into that hole. When he wanted to, to refuse to get into the hole, he was told that nobody is going back. In fact, he says that I was forced to get into the shaft. And what they found underground, he says that, it's not what they had or what he had in mind, because as they were talking about leaving, they were then pointed with guns. They talk about the guns that are there. They talk about the whom they are calling the bosses that are still underground. But they're also talking about the food that was sent underground, to say that they have never been able to eat anything solid. In the time that they have been there, 3 months, 4 months, so on. They were talking about the maheu, water, having to mix water, vinegar, salt, toothpaste. Those are the things that they say that they have been surviving on while they were underground. Let's maybe listen to some of those that we spoke to about, how they've been surviving underground, the situation that is underground. That is in light of the progress report that we are yet to know or find about tomorrow, when Minister of Police Ziniko Mhlaba will be here, as the mining experts have done some work before they get into the third surface of retrieving those that are underground. But let's just listen into those that resurfaced here at shaft 10, Xoli, in relation to what they had to say.
Lijwe keni le vela ka Saturday ni lijwe keni mai kena lijwe wa fa maheo ka letsatsi bo 500 ya maheo jwale ka Sunday ba jwetsa go rally jwa e felile mara ma ke fita nako bona ba ya ja le jwa teng mara nna mali ba tla e bonda de la pele ba le jwa e felile jwale le fela matla le phela ka sesigana le metsi le vinegar na tartarega fela alsana matla nna ke na le 3 months ngisadli papa straight a di thunya di teni vela mara nna ena ke bone one vela e teni thu nna ke kgonile go tswa ke re ba ke bona di boso di boso sa di teni ka kwa ba tla bona gore go etsa ka lwana ba tla bona magweja ora matswa government ora ke community ora wa bona jwale vela ba sho jwale ka manda ba jwetse gore tlo tswa ka fela ya kantle mara bona a ba sa bui ba tla rena le thomo ya kantle, so a re tsi bona ba tlo latela ora jwale.
Very, very interesting account there, Refiloe. Just as we conclude the conversation with you, I'm looking behind you and I can't make out whether it is dust that seems to be coming out of that hole, or could it be something very different to that? Just describe for us what they say the conditions are like underground. We're told that there are poisonous gases down there. How are they able to survive for such long periods?
Indeed, Xoli, I'm actually just going to move out of shot just so that I show you the shaft. You are asking about the dust that you are seeing here. When you are trying to come a bit closer to this dust, what looks like dust, what looks like smoke, it's actually a mist, Xoli. They are talking about water that is underground. They're also talking about the heat that is underground. You'll understand that some of the assessment that is being done by the mining rescue experts is the methane gas rather, I should say, that it's said to be underground. Some of the what has been described as dangerous gases that people that is being found underground in these mine shafts. So this that you are seeing that looks like a smoke, when you are coming closer and even the smell of it, you can really it's not a good smell. Well, then talks to the kind of a gas that is there underground. Police and the authorities, they talked more about methane gas, but also as it hits closer to your face, you can just feel a bit of water drops, not that much, but it also talks about those that resurfaced on Sunday. They were wet. They were talking about water that is underground, which is something also that was indicated by the authorities, Xoli. So it's just that one is really unable to come too close to it because of safety reasons of it. But there are a lot of questions, how they're getting into there. This one is different to Shaft 11. It's also different to Margaret Shaft. Margaret Shaft has that catch that is assisting them to resurface. Shaft 11, they have to use a rope. This one, it has a bit of layers into it. And, as they're engaging with the police, they're talking about how they are stepping into one layer to the other, holding on to, also you'll see that there are some, what seems like poles there, trying to hold on into those things as well as they are trying to resurface. But it also speaks to the danger, of these disused mine, Shaft 10, Shaft 11, but how these people are able to find a way to get underground, at the belly of the world, even find a way of even getting children underground. Those that we are being told that they have been lured here because of job promises. Police spokesperson yesterday, Sabata Makwabone, indicating that there are adults that are coming here, but they will also bring children in. 3 of those that they were resurfaced today, we understand that 2 of them are 16-year-old and the other one is 19. Teens at this whole thing, but we also understand that authorities are engaging with their counterparts from the neighboring countries, Mozambique, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, because the nationalities they are being confirmed that some of them are from those countries. 3 of those that have resurfaced from this shaft in particular, we were told that they were Mozambicans. Xoli.
Refiloe Seboko, thank you very much for that detailed report this afternoon. Quite a risky job that this is. Well, for them it is a job, but for authorities in South Africa it is pure criminality. Well, Ziniko Mhlaba on the other end of the screen, as we showed you a little earlier, he is at the Stilfontein Magistrate's Court, and that's where 274 suspected illegal miners have appeared. Ziniko Mhlaba, good afternoon to you. Administrative problems were encountered today in court. Just give us a bit more detail as to what that entailed.
Good afternoon, Oli. Yes, indeed, we did see those encounters when it comes to administrating, the paperwork of all those illegal miners who appeared in court throughout the day. We started about 9 o'clock, and of course the court just concluded at 5 p.m. So looking at those hours, you can tell that it was really indeed a very long day inside this particular Stilfontein Magistrate Court, where 274 illegal miners, appeared before the magistrate today. And of course, in the morning, we're told that about 300 would be appearing today, but because of the time constraint, but also the challenges which were experienced, throughout the day, the magistrate only, could only reach 274, which is a milestone compared to the average, accused who are usually appearing before a magistrate on any day. So the first problem only was started in the morning in terms of having to transport these illegal miners from where they are kept at correctional services, at some police stations as well in across the Northwest Province. We understand that some of these illegal miners were transported or have been kept throughout, the previous days at Rustenburg, others in Welkom, others in Potchefstroom, and of course they all had to be transported to this particular magistrate court here in Stilfontein. So that was the first thing. And of course, throughout the day then, all these illegal miners were given papers which have photos but also their name and case numbers. So during the course of the appearance, it was discovered that indeed some of these illegal miners had lost their papers, which are meant to be identifying them, but also some did not even appear on the court roll in terms of the list of the accused individuals, which was one of the main things which were very concerning for the magistrate, because he will see, he'll call out a name saying that I'm looking for a Ziniko Mhlaba according to the roll. And of course, Ziniko Mhlaba will need to stand up with that paper, which has a picture of myself as Ziniko Mhlaba. So there were two cases in which, there were two individuals who could not be identified or could not be allocated before the magistrate when those guys were lined up in the, on the court roll. But also, very interestingly, apparently there was one individual who could not be identified inside court. He was on the court roll, but he was not in court, and no official could account in terms of the whereabouts of that individual. So he has been described as an escapee, according to the magistrate. Another individual, was on the court roll, but could not be identified in terms of the full name. And when the magistrate questioned whether the person has a passport or any form of identification, that accused individual said that he does not have any form of identification with him. So it was then difficult for the magistrate then to proceed with the charging the individual. And of course, he ended up saying that, well, Home Affairs will have to take over that process. And there was an issue of a minor who was, according to the records, described and identified as an elder person who was supposed to be standing, with other accused individuals who are up above the age of 18. However, when that individual had to stand up and identify himself, he said that actually in terms of age, he's 17, not 18. And then the magistrate was also frustrated by that because she was not aware of that. And according to the records the magistrate had, that person was an elder. So that person had to be then handed over to the Department of Social Development. That's one aspect. The third issue, which was a bit or frustrated the magistrate during these proceedings, was the issue of numbers. I had an opportunity to listen to a conversation between government departments who are present in court. The one question that really, was raised between the officials, especially when it comes to the Department of Justice, the Department of Health, and of course, in the absence of the Department of Social Development, when one of my media colleagues really probed whether indeed we've got about 90 minors, according to the records of government or law enforcement agency, those individuals from those departments whom we cannot identify because we're not speaking to us on official capacity, we're speaking off record. They said that according to their own investigation as the relevant departments who are responsible for investigating an individual's age, according to their own investigation and decision that was taken after those investigations, they are dealing with 14 minors. They know nothing about the 90 which has been communicated by the Department of Social Development. And also when we probe, in terms of who should we really believe in terms of this number of minors, they said, well, the Department of Social Development does not have the capacity and the skill and the required, tools to investigate somebody's health. It is the department, somebody's age. It is the Department of Health. And of course, according to the Department of Health, they only know of about 14 minors. So it also raises the question then in terms of what is going to happen to this minor who said, I am 7, or alleged minor who said, I am 14, I am 17, not 18, because he was also referred to the Department of Social Development. So these are some of the issues that are really, coming up inside court in terms of the processes of identifying these illegal minors. So that's one thing. On another matter, only the issue of those who appeared in court today, they are faced with, they are supposed to be charged with illegal mining, but also the contravention of the Immigration Act. And in this particular case, especially those 274 appeared in court today, there are those who could not be given straightaway charges in terms of what is it that they're being charged with, due to the fact that some of them were arrested with material. And of course, when you are being arrested with material, it's a whole different story, because that whatever material you were found with has to be tested in terms of, was it really a pure gold or it was something else. So those ones will be charged according to what the results of those tests, will be determining. So those are some of the challenges, some of the frustrations which these court proceedings really had to deal with. And of course, we understand that those who had straightaway cases and charges, their matters have been postponed to the 2nd of January 2025.